Hello, everyone. I'm Christine Blanchette, the host and producer of the Run With It podcast. Today's guest is Renato Zane. He is here today to talk about his career. He's actually a leadership consultant and board member of several not for profit organizations. He also publishes a general interest weekly newsletter on Substack called Zanepost, and he's here to share how he maintains a healthy lifestyle. Welcome, Renato.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah, so tell our listeners about your general weekly newsletter.
Oh, sure. It's just a passion project for me, but one that I really enjoy because I've always wanted to be more active in writing. I spent 32 years in the media business. It was in television, working for Rogers Sports and Media. And during that time, I was a reporter, but then I quickly moved into management. But deep down, I always wanted to write. And so I write this general interest newsletter, which comes out every Thursday. And it's basically things that I'm interested in: current affairs, workplace culture, travel, history, just curious things. And it's something that I do also in a way to promote the coaching work that I do with individuals who are trying to improve their performance at work. So it's kind of like an eclectic place where it's like a diary, if you will. Instead of talking about the things I did today, I talk about things that interested me this week.
Yes, no, that's wonderful. And you also talk about other topics like AI, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, there's just so much going on, whether it's science or aviation, the environment, the green economy. There's just so much going on in our world today. One thing that I do try to stay away from is getting too deep into politics because there's so many other people who are writing and reporting on politics that it's not a place that I can really contribute much.
Yes, but what inspired you to do it? Like start this up on Substack, right?
Yes. Well, I had done this before on Google Blogspot. I had done some writing. I've always done some writing, and it's just a way to sort of keep one's abilities sharp. Communication is so important these days, and it's difficult to write well. And it's just something that I feel I gotta keep working on because I want to be a better writer. I want to be a better communicator, and writing helps you think too. So it's another way to remember things, to learn. And I've always been a lifelong learner. I've always enjoyed learning. And when you have to write, you have to find a way to condense ideas. It's a way to sort of also be mindful, to be focused in the present, in the here and now. So there's lots of things I get out of it, as well as connecting with people who I never thought I would connect with, who find some of the content interesting or will contribute a comment here or there. It's a more positive place to be than, say, X, formerly known as Twitter, or some of those more those social media platforms where there are a lot of competing views and sometimes toxic behavior. This is way more positive and way more enriching.
Mm-hmm. Now people can subscribe to it.
Oh yes, you just go on Zanepost. You can Google it, or you can find it at my first name and last name all together, Renato Zane .substack.com, and on any post you'll see an opportunity to subscribe for free, and it's just easy to follow. Or you can just go to the website and sample some of the articles that are up there. So yeah, just Google Zane Post, all one word, and you'll get an idea of the things I write about.
Yeah, I mean, that's wonderful. So does working out help with your writing?
I think it helps with everything. I think we,
Yes.
we all have to stay active, and it's I think the studies have proven that being active stimulates your brain. It helps your mood. It's a place where when you're working out, whether you run or walk or go to the gym, uh, it stimulates your creativity because it takes you away from a screen, so you can sort of you make connections that maybe you wouldn't make in your mind if you were just sitting at your desk all day. So yes, definitely it helps. If ideas come to you, or you think of something you've read, and you'll see a connection to something else that you have maybe seen sometimes weeks or months before. So it all helps, and it's just that getting the blood flowing is so important for any mental activity, really.
Yeah. So what kind of activities do you like to do?
These days, actually, we just started cross country skiing again, which is really fun given like the short, the short days in January and February. It's really great to get out in nature, walking, jogging. When I was younger, I played organized sports like soccer and so on. Go to the gym once or twice a week if I can, or otherwise I just do the odd calisthenic here and there. Just
Yes.
it's just my preferred activity is really walking or jogging, and I listen to podcasts when I do that. So I really enjoy that, and it's just time that you get with intelligent people while you're working out. It's fun.
Yes. And then there's nutrition too, right? I mean,
Yeah,
uh, so,
yeah.
hmm
These days, I'm trying to. I think the last time we spoke, I mentioned this, and I'm going to repeat it because I'm still not successful. I'm trying to reduce my carbohydrates, and I'm trying to make sure I have more vegetables and a healthier food, fiber, and just a balance of things, less packaged goods or less prepared foods, and more foods that are made at home. Um, the big issue with me is that I'm an emotional eater, so I always find that in the evening, for some reason, I crave snacks, and it's really hard to say no, especially if you're watching a sports event on TV or something,
yes.
or a great movie. But yeah, nutrition is super important, and I do. Take some supplements, usually vitamin D, uh, and magnesium, because those are two things my doctor suggested I take, and they're very helpful for the immune system, for your heart, for your muscles in general. So a few vitamins and supplements, but nothing great. And the rest is just being mindful and being aware of what you're eating, and trying to eat healthy. So it's a lifelong journey. We're I have a long way to go. But definitely, I'm doing better, like eating less bread and less carbs. So I think that's helping me.
Yes. But for those listening, like, can you share any tips? Like,
On nutrition.
oh, John, healthy living habits.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, for me, it's really in the mind.
Mm,
So mindfulness is really, the key thing. We are all bombarded with thoughts, and stimuli from social media, from screens, from all kinds of things, negative news in the world. And so it's really important to stay in the moment and be self-aware. So
mm,
that's definitely something that I really focus on. Um, and remember that time is your most important resource. And so we only have a finite amount of time in our lives. So it's really, really important to sort of track your time to see how you're spending it, because you never get it back. So, that's one key thing. The other one for me is like getting to know your inner you, because that's the real you. It's not the you that you think others see. It's the inner you is the real you. So when
mm.
I was working and I was trying to be more mindful at work, and I do this, here as well, is like, I'm not working full time in one job. I'm doing lots of different activities, but treat your life like a science experiment. In other words, look at your patterns and see what they tell you about yourself. Look at it from a curious perspective. Be curious about your life. Find the fun in your activities, and treat it a little bit like a game, and say, okay, how do I feel emotionally about this, or what thoughts am I having about that? That really helps you sort of become self-aware, be kind to yourself. Uh, the other thing that I'm learning is to let go of my feelings, observe the feeling as they pass through you, and try to be non-judgmental about them, and then let them move on and have a life of their own. Think of
Mhm.
the possibilities in front of you. Everything. If you approach your activities, your life, whatever, like a beginner, you think that there are lots of avenues open to you. If you think you're an expert, you know it all, then it limits your options sometimes. So just having that mindset is helpful. The other big thing is also focus on what gives you a sense of purpose or fulfillment. You know, when you feel like you're moving forward, what gives you energy really feels like a positive thing. And what saps your energy, what frustrates you, is not a great feeling. And that's like a clue to maybe that something may be off and that you need to sort of focus some attention on it. Um, there's just so many things. Like the one thing that, of course, uh, I enjoy more than anything is when I feel like I'm in the flow. You know, and you've probably heard this with, you're a runner, you've probably heard this with athletes and artists, musicians, that sometimes when you're in the flow, nothing feels better than that feeling, because you feel like you're so engaged in something that sometimes you even lose track of time. Feels
Mm-hmm.
like you have an endless supply of energy when you're in the flow. And this often happens when you're creating something or when you're finding solutions to issues. uh, the opposite of that, of course, is when you're like in a pity pit. You're thinking about gloom and doom, and you've got negativity or frustration, anger, all of those emotions that kind of block flow are emotions to be aware of, and to try to observe them and try to say, okay, how can I get back into the flow? Because when you're in that state, you certainly bring the best of yourself, and it is a clue as to who you are on the inside. If you find that you're in the flow a lot, then you're close to you're aligned with your inner person, you're aligned with your purpose. When you're constantly fighting over something, then you're not aligned.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are things that really help to be in the moment, to be mindful, to listen to your body, right? That I mean, I'm sure that you've spoken to a lot of your guests who tell you these kinds of things, but these are my way. This is my way of trying to stay in aware, being self-aware, and being in the moment, and being in a positive place rather than a negative place.
Yes, and I love the inner you. Know the inner you. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I there's a wonderful book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you read
No.
it or heard of it. Um, and it's really was a helpful book for me, because it described the way that we perceive ourselves, and what the real you is. The real you is not your mind. The real you is definitely not your ego. The real you is the person that can step back and see how the mind works, or how the ego is trying to get you to react to something. When you can get into that observer status, then that is the real essence of who you are. You are the observer. You're not the ego, and you're not necessarily the mind. That you're something else. And this has incredible ramifications. Everything from managing anger in interpersonal relationships, and understanding how to let go of negative things in your life, and being able to sort of not have your mind be taken over by stimuli that really uh, are not helpful to your overall health. There's just so many wonderful aspects to that kind of philosophy. It's called The Power of Now, and the author is Eckhart Tolle.
Mm.
Um, he talks about how people are so tied up with their expectations of what things ought to be, and the competitiveness, this desire to sort of protect the ego at all costs, that he thinks that that we have kind of a worldwide epidemic of mindlessness, of anxiety, and emotional pain that doesn't need to be there. That if we're more mindful, we will be much more closer to the real potential people that we can be. So there's all these wonderful things in that book, but that is something I should have mentioned before too. Is just reading. Reading is very helpful in being healthy. If you find the right material that helps you as an individual, you have more tools to approach life with.
Wonderful information, Ronaldo. And people like to get a hold of you for coaching and subscribing to your podcast. Can you give that information again?
Yes, well, the newsletter is Zanepost, all one word. You can just Google it and find it. Um, if anybody wants to email me, then I can give you my general email, which is my first name, last name, all one word. So RENATOZANE @yahoo.com. And yeah, I do one-on-one coaching with people, primarily to improve performance at work. But we can certainly talk about lots of different things. And coaching and collaborating is really a wonderful way to connect with people and to help each other, really find our own solutions to the blockages in our life. So there's a huge benefit to coaching. I really enjoy doing it, and I get a lot of satisfaction of seeing people, feel like they're moving forward.
Yes. And Renato, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. And I'd love for you to come back and talk more.
Thank you so much, Christine. I really appreciate the opportunity, and it's wonderful to connect with all of your audience. And I really enjoyed it. Thank you.